Hi, everybody. We are counting down and getting ready for Dominion, one of the signature events each and every year on the New Japan Pro Wrestling calendar. And huge news, we're live with English commentary, and I've assembled quite a rogues gallery. Yes, indeed, the three-headed monster that will be calling the action all in English. Yours truly, Kevin Kelly, Chris Charlton, Rocky Romero. Gentlemen, yoroshiku onegaishimasu.
Yoroshiku onegaishimasu.
Yoroshiku onegaishimasu.
So we, of course, have three huge matches that we will be focusing on, but the full card has been released, and it's up right now for you on njpw1972.com. The event was originally scheduled for Sunday, June the 6th, but because of COVID and Osaka, it has been moved up one day, so it will be on Monday, the 7th. It's a great day to call in sick for work, play hooky if you're still in school, or just avoid everyone around you, because Dominion is going to be massive. And the event starts at 6 p.m. local time in Japan. So, for example, that would be 5 a.m. on the East Coast, nice and early for Rocky, with a 2 a.m. Pacific start. Ha ha!
I'm going to call in sick if you said, like you said.
No. Everyone else calls in sick.
Yeah.
Because of what we're going to do.
Oh, yeah. I got it now.
We know. And gentlemen, we'll preview the three big singles matches. I think that can take up the bulk of our time here. We'll talk about our main event, which will crown a new IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, the title currently vacant, and it will be Shingo Takagi versus Kazuchika Okada. We're also going to talk about the special singles match that has been signed, a real grudge battle between Jeff Cobb and Kota Ibushi. But I wanted to start with the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship match. And Rocky, I'll throw this to you first. Yo from Roppongi 3K facing El Desperado. And this match, of course, was originally scheduled to take place on May the 4th at Wrestling Dontaku. Now, a month and 3 days later, they finally get in the ring. With Yo coming back from the knee injury, do you think the extra 5 weeks almost of rest and preparation helps him or hurts him in getting ready to perhaps become the junior heavyweight champion?
Well, I mean, definitely there's pluses and minuses in this situation. The plus would be the extra time to, work out any kinks with the knee, give it a little bit more rest. There's no long tour that's leading up to this date or anything. So in this position, I think that's a plus for Yo. But also, when you're ready to rock and you're ready to plan and have that title match and you're in that mindset, then to be taken out of it and then going back into it now, with not really, knowing the situation, what date was going to be on the 6th, now it's on the 7th. I mean, I think that can mess with the challenger quite a bit, especially because Yo knows he has to beat the champion. And we all know that Desperado is on a roll. He's steamrolling competition right now. He's better than he's ever been. So I think that Yo's got to take that into consideration.
Chris, it looked to me on the road to Dominion events that there might have been a little bit of ring rust from the layoff that affected especially Desperado, and it seemed like he was miffed after the first night of getting back into the ring. How is his state of mind as the defending champion here as we get ready for Dominion?
I think it has to be a concern that there was a little bit of ring rust, especially with delays. But I think one of these factors, and it will likely be a factor, perhaps, with Kazuchika Okada as well, is I know Desperado will have been talking to Taichi about his experiences in the IWGP Junior, in the IWGP Tag Team Championship match, Tuesday in Korakuen Hall, having recovered from COVID in much the same way that Desperado has had. And he had a difficult time with the illness, and we never quite know how it affects anybody long term, especially professional athletes. Whether it's a non-factor or whether, as Taichi said, he felt that he was relying on Zack Sabre Jr. an awful lot more, because as much as he thought he was 100% going into the match, when you actually get in there and have to use every aspect of getting oxygen into your body, then it becomes more of a challenge. So I think that's lingering in the back of El Desperado's mind, and I think Yo knows that as well. He was much more aggressive in Korakuen, certainly on the second of the preliminary tag matches on Wednesday, much more aggressive than we'd seen from him heading up into Dontaku. So I like Yo a lot more heading into Osaka-Jo Hall than I did heading into Fukuoka.
Yeah, especially Rocky, and I wanted to ask you about this because Yo has a lot of weapons and can go back and forth between sometimes that very picturesque high flyer, but on the ground, mat wrestling, submission guy, he's stellar. And that 5-star clutch the other night got the victory, the submission leg lock. If you were advising Yo in terms of putting together a game plan, a strategy, and again, if I ask you, I know you won't answer it, but if you were to be advising Yo before this big title match, what game plan and strategy would you suggest?
I'd use a bait and switch, Kevin. I would bait my opponent, whether him thinking that I was going to try to, be stubborn and use that leg lock or use whatever, and then I would look to use the flash pin, like the 5-star or something like that. I mean, I think that that's the best way to go about it, especially if Desperado is not at 100%, and really we don't know, right? So like, I feel like, why not wear him down with something like, going after the leg or going after, maybe the midsection or something, and think that you're going to go for something, and then only to set up something that's going to happen out of nowhere, like a quick pin.
And he used the 5-star earlier on. I was thinking of the name of it is the Star Catcher,
The Stargazer.
Stargazer. That's right. It's a variation of the Fuller leg lock, and it is a tried and true submission hold with a little different twist that makes it super painful. It is one of the best applications I've seen. So I think we might be in agreement, because I know, Rocky, are you going with your man? Are you picking we're going to have a new champ? Chris is already on record.
I got to go with Yo. Always got to go with Yo. Stick to Chaos, stick to Roppongi 3K all the way.
I'll tell you, Chaos has been on a heck of a run, and I agree with you guys. I think we are going to crown a new junior heavyweight champion. Rock, a question for you, and I'll ask both of you guys. Yo has already said that if he wins, he'll defend against Sho. What are your thoughts, Rocky, about that? Do you think that's a good idea?
I think that it's a good idea in the fact that, these guys are need to get pushed by each other, right? They're usually pushing each other on the same side, and their heart is in the right place. They'll be on the same side. It's not like it's going to be a rivalry, a bloody rivalry or something like that. But no, I think that sometimes you need your partner to push you in a certain way, and I think that if they want to truly be the kings of the junior heavyweight division, they'll need each other at some point, and they'll also meet each other at some point. So why not?
There is going to be a time, date, and place, I'm sure, for whatever would be next. And because I am a true professional, I'm going to change my background here for this next preview. How about that as we switch on the fly? We'll go all natural for the balance of this. Chris, let me ask you, as we get set for Jeff Cobb and Kota Ibushi. Kota Ibushi said he wanted to face an Olympian. He wanted to beat somebody who has traveled the world, who's had great amateur, credentials. But he's going to tangle with this massive, awesome beast of an athlete. The Imperial Unit, as you've named him. And I think it's such an appropriate nickname for Jeff Cobb. This isn't going to be some nicey nice, feel him out wrestling match, is it? It's going to be a hell of a war.
It was remarkable, I think, it all started at Sakura Genesis and that tour of the islands after Kota Ibushi lost the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. But Ibushi was very insistent on saying, well, these kind of things kind of happen in wrestling. I really just want the competition. I want to wrestle an Olympian. It was a very sportsmanlike challenge issued to Jeff Cobb at Satsuma no Kuni. It was responded to in an unsportsmanlike fashion with words that I'm not allowed to repeat. And since then, it escalated and escalated until Korakuen this week and that massive pull-apart brawl, which certainly had goosebumps for me. This is going to be a very solid fight. And it's all about the knee, man. It's all about Kamigoye or Kobagoye, which is stronger. And, well, Ibushi's tasted Kobagoye, and I think if I'm Kota Ibushi, I'm worried about that knee.
One of the most, and again, you said it perfectly, Chris, goosebumps, because that's, as I was calling it, I just sat here and I was like, oh my God. I hate when situations like that happen in wrestling. but wrestling situations like that do happen. And the Kabagoe was another one. As Ibushi was crawling, trying to get back to the locker room, and it was just, why didn't anybody help him? Because everybody was shocked. Nobody could believe what they had seen, and nobody could believe that Ibushi couldn't get back up. They didn't realize how bad that Kabagoe left him. Rocky, we've broken bread with Jeff Cobb over the years, and he's somebody that we used to consider a mate. Now, of course, in a whole different mindset, in a whole different world, completely on his own. How dangerous is Jeff Cobb?
I mean, this guy is awesome in every sense of the word. You know, I mean, he's powerful, probably the strongest guy within New Japan. He's explosive. He's quick. He's, he can jump extremely high. That drop kick is a thing of beauty. I mean, he gets higher than Ibushi does on a drop kick. You know, I mean, is impressive. You know, so in so many ways, I think he's got all the physical gifts of a world champion, and I think that this could possibly be the catapult to get him into that next level. And he looks better than ever. He's been training harder than ever. He looks like he's been training for an Olympics. You know, that's what he feels like, and he's just hitting on all cylinders. And I think it's gonna take a prayer and a little more for Ibushi to walk away with the win on this one.
To Rocky's point, sorry to interrupt, I spoke to Jeff Cobb last week. That conversations on njpw1972.com, and Jeff Cobb was very insistent on reminding everyone, hey, I've beaten Shingo Takagi twice, and I've beaten Will Ospreay twice. So I think certainly Jeff Cobb isn't just thinking about this match, very focused on this match, but he's also got an eye on the main event with Shingo Takagi and Kazuchika Okada. I would say, especially if Shingo Takagi emerges victorious as the World Heavyweight Champion, there's no person with stronger acclaim to that title than Jeff Cobb, in my opinion, if he beats Kota Ibushi.
I 100% agree with you, and I think that this matchup has world title ramifications. I think it is as close to a de facto #1 contender match as we can get. But let's transition now to our main event and the crowning of a new World Heavyweight Champion. The IWGP World Heavyweight Championship, since its formation, has been greatly impacted by competition and by other forces. Will Ospreay had to work so hard to win the title that the injury that he suffered in his first defense now forced him to relinquish the title. He gave up everything that he loved to get this title and had to give it away. And so now Okada, who had the championship match guaranteed to him on May 29th, but the postponement of the Tokyo Dome event now pushed everything to the 7th, to today here at Osaka at Dominion, and Shingo Takagi rightfully takes the place of the champion in that regard with a vacant championship. It's Okada versus Shingo. Chris, first to you. Kind of break this down for me.
I think that the factors here is, again, it's much like that extra time. Kazuchika Okada didn't wrestle for a lot of April, didn't wrestle for a lot of May. Shingo Takagi obviously wrestled incredibly hard, and despite Yokohama Stadium, despite Tokyo Dome being postponed, he's been on all of those Korakuen tours and wrestled Will Ospreay for 45 minutes. So is it the fact that the ring shape? I would have to say that Shingo Takagi is in better ring shape. I'm 100% sure. I believe that Kazuchika Okada believes that he is 100% going into this match. I believe that there's going to be no excuses, but I also kind of think that normally we talk about a main event like this, especially in Osaka-Jo Hall, and Kazuchika Okada very, very closely associated with Dominion. We always talk about those, in that 30-minute plus, 40-minute plus, 50-minute plus experience that Kazuchika Okada is, you can't beat that guy's wind, and he's going to be, the most effective in that situation. I don't think that that's the case this time. And I kind of would lean, especially if this match goes long, I'm going to lean towards Shingo Takagi.
Yeah, it's a situation where we talk about, like, for example, a Tomohiro Ishii, who gets worn down as the G1 tournament unfolds. He's very difficult to beat in the beginning, and he's a little easier to get at the end because he's taken so much punishment. It seems like the reverse has almost happened with Shingo, who has had a grueling year, if we think about starting with Jeff Cobb at Wrestle Kingdom and now moving here to June the 7th, that all those battles have primed him and made him better. Rocky, do you have any insight? We may never know the full story, but obviously Okada's back was an issue when they met in the first round of the New Japan Cup. And how bad was his back? How much are you willing to tell us? And will that be a factor, do you think, here in this championship matchup?
Well, I think, old nagging injuries can always be a factor. I mean, whether it's flared up right now, maybe the time off has actually done him well when it comes to that aspect, but it takes one body slam or one shoulder tackle or something, or, to get that and aggravate that old injury right back up. So I feel like, who knows? Really, who knows? I mean, I think the thing that I'm more worried about is I feel like in this aspect, like Okada is doing his best Tanahashi impression of like, he's trying to almost like quiet everybody and like, oh, like, I'm okay, I'm fine. I'm getting over this whole situation. I'm fine now. I can be 100%. I have all the goods to be, back to the top of the throne. But who knows? It's similar to Desperado's situation. Like, who really knows what's going through Okada's mind and what's going through his body? And will he have the wind? Will he have, will the back flare up? Like, what's really going to happen in this match? And I think, like, to Chris's point, Shingo is in great condition. He recently wrestled a high profile match, right, against Will Ospreay not too long ago. I mean, he's great right now. And I think that Okada really better be worried. But the one thing about Okada is he's always got a great strategy, similar to a Hiroshi Tanahashi. And it's really going to have to be the battle of Okada's brain and how he can, almost like Muhammad Ali versus Foreman, figure out how to defeat this guy who's just much better than him maybe at this moment.
And Rocky, you, of course, are picking your best friend Okada to be the new World Heavyweight Champion?
Yes. I'm sticking with Okada, of course, but I'm worried. This camp is a little worried,
Yeah, I would agree with that. Chris, what are your thoughts?
I think the thing is, the theme this year has been the weight of that World Heavyweight Championship, and I can never get out of my head that moment in Ryogoku when Kota Ibushi hoisted Will Ospreay on his shoulders and he was going for the lawn dart, and his knees buckled and he dropped to the mat. And that was the moment. And, I've said this, at other places, but it felt like the weight of the world was finally too much for Kota Ibushi at that point. And he never got back into that match. Will Ospreay, took the rest of that match convincingly. And then Will Ospreay, in a very, very real sense, defended that title, but came away having to relinquish it. And the physical, not just the physical strains, but the mental strains as well of being a champion, is just so crucial, especially with this new title. It's a tricky one because obviously at this point nobody is used to that weight more than Kazuchika Okada, and nobody can carry that weight more than Kazuchika Okada. But in this instant, Shingo Takagi might have what it takes right now. I think probably the momentum is more on his side than ever. It's almost like, I think if Okada wins, we're in for a long World Heavyweight Championship reign. But I think Shingo Takagi might have what it takes on Monday.
Yeah, I'm a lean towards Shingo, but if Okada wins, I wouldn't be shocked at all. I'm sure we're all in agreement that this is going to be an outstanding, stellar World Heavyweight Championship match, and we cannot wait to see it. The fact that the three of us will be together to call it live as well, albeit remotely, albeit from three different parts of the world, but we'll be together as one with all the great fans of New Japan Pro Wrestling right here on njpwworld.com. The countdown is on to Dominion, everybody, and we're finally here. So get ready. Make sure that you tell everyone you know to sign up now if they're not a subscriber because they definitely do not want to miss Dominion live on njpwworld.com. We'll be calling the action in just a little while. For Chris Charlton and Rocky Romero, I'm Kevin Kelly. We'll see you in a bit at Dominion.